Okay, I just wanted to do a video here and show you guys what I did. I'm kind of finicky on my vacuum pump because I've had an issue with him before, so let me show you what I've done here. So if you look here, I've mounted a vacuum gauge on the side of the engine. So it's real hard to see with the camera, but so I can read it, and it's just hard for the camera to pick it up. So what I did basically, I'm going to shut the car off and show you, because I want to know what that vacuum pump's drawing, because little wipers in there that I've done a prior video on, that they wear out, right? So I wanted to see where I was sitting, and it appears that the way this is going to work is that it's going to draw, that's going to draw the, you see it slowly going back because it's liquid filled, right? So it's going to slowly go back down, and then there's still vacuum on the system, right? So it's letting me know what my drawdown is on my vacuum pump, right? So if I were to pop the reservoir tube here, it would go dead. But eventually it'll drop down. But this one goes to 30 pounds of vacuum. So my pump's drawing 30 pounds of vacuum. And how I did this anyway, I got had to get creative. Anyway, there's a hole through the side of the engine here, and I got 3 of these rubber washers, and then I've got a elbow here, and then that feeds into a nipple adapter, right? And that feeds into the airline. Now I just use airline tubing, right? And they didn't have the correct size fuel line. I was going to use fuel line, but airline tubing, this stuff's good. And I feed that up. It comes back up underneath here. I got to still use some zip ties so I don't have this interfering with my shifting mechanism. It goes up into a T. I used a plastic T because I couldn't find brass, but anyway, it should be fine. And then that tees off here where you normally find your fitting that would go to your brake booster, right? So if you look up in here, I reused the old line because that one's okay. So that goes to the brake booster up under here. You see it? And then that comes back down into the T. I used a splice to go from the T to the pump. And the T goes down and it feeds back up into my gauge, right? And there you have it. So I'm going to start this up and show you. So right now we're back down to 0. And we'll fire it up and see what that gauge is going to read again. You want to use sealant in all your connections. And it's a real bear getting that to fit, because you got to try and tighten the elbow down. You got to tighten this elbow and hold this gauge and turn it. And then you got to end in the position where the gauge is straight up and down, right? So you guys will figure it out if you want to do this, but there we go. So I can take a glance any point in time I want and know my vacuum pump is drawing, you know, full 30 pounds. So my pump's healthy. I can go inside the car and I can check what I'm getting to my turbo, right? So I can start from the beginning of the vacuum and go up to my turbo, and my turbo line right now at idle is getting about 18 pounds, 17 pounds, right? This is directly off the turbo line. So, and solve my boost issue with my boost gauge. Anyway, I got a video about that. So just heads up, just want to let people know I'm still having a little bit of an issue with the P0251 code, but I think that's air getting in the lines. I'm going to do a video on that. I'm going to change the fuel filter. I'm going to get rid of that crappy, I'm going to get rid of that goddamn thermal valve on the fuel filter. I'm going to go with a different fuel filter off of an older Volkswagen before they put the thermal valves on there. because I think my thermal valve's leaking, but that's another story. So anyway, heads up, just want to get everyone a little bit of an idea here what I'm doing, so I know where my vacuum pump's at. Gauge was like 15 bucks on eBay. I just spent 30 bucks in fittings and hose, so basically 45 bucks. I got a gauge on my engine that tells me what my vacuum pump's doing. So hopefully that helps some people out. Have a good night.